Alright, we'll get going. The experiment begins. Since something I've been wanting to do for quite a while now, several years. Finally got things set up. Like I've always had the pen, tablet, software, just not on the right device for live streaming. Uh, but finally worked up. I was like, okay, I've been doing the live streaming on YouTube now, for the Friday evenings gaming uh, for over a year now consistently. I'm like, alright, let me actually try that other experiment I want to do of artwork. And so I decided, alright, well, let me get my art program that I like so much using and put it on the PC, and we'll start there. So that's what I ended up doing a few weeks back, and I just gotta refocus things here. So it's a newer version of the software that I'm used to. So some of the things, the UI elements are rearranged in places that I don't have the muscle memory for yet, like especially the fill box. Your quick fill box color. The fact that it's up here on this top bar when I'm so used to it being over on the sidebar. Technically, that's below the window screen of where I'm at, which I think I'm going to adjust that really quick and move me on the screen up to the top corner just so you can kind of see the a little bit my options selects for some of the main brushes that I use. And this week, I don't have any particular drawing or anything that planned for this week. I've got ideas for that in future, depending on how more often I do this. There's not going to be a set schedule of when I do this. So I'm just starting in with doing um, simple character drawing. And so I'm going to be a little slow getting going here because, again, it's like the UI is slightly different than what I'm used to. The canvas size is much larger than what I'm used to since the resolution screen is different than on the MacBook, which is where I've been doing all my digital art for years. And so I'm going to zoom back in, and the characters I'm going to be starting off with is, for various character drawing, are the main cast of characters in a comic series titled Worlds Apart that I started years ago. I got about first chapter and a half um, completed of the comic and up on my main website that I do, and good heavens, I will have to adjust things significantly. Yeah, this is so much different than what I'm used to, so I'm gonna double this so I can actually see it. And hopefully that means that everybody else can actually see it. Alright. Oh gosh. Looking better there. That's looking a bit better. Alright. Now if I go back to full screen. Okay, that's much better. So basically at this resolution I have to double the size of the brushes that I'm used to on the MacBook. And okay. What keeps happening? Why do I keep activating that? Well, that's gonna get frustrating if I can't figure it. Okay. Okay, that's just a setting that I'm gonna have to get over. I gotta re-angle the pen. I have not disabled a couple of the buttons on the pen that I never use. That's what's happening. Alright, so one of the first characters that I'm gonna be drawing this evening is definitely one of the main characters of Worlds Apart, and these are characters that initially, this main character initially started off as a Bionicle uh, OC, uh, as you will. Um, and the character was my Rudaka knockoff. Um, with the fan fiction series that I had of Bionicle way back when, because Bionicle was my Transformers. I didn't get to watch Transformers or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a lot of those other uh, shows growing up as a kid. So, but I was really big into Lego, and Bionicle fell in love with Bionicle. So that was my uh, fictional universe, storyverse, toy line that I followed with some passion. Creating my own fan fiction stories around it, and this character, Rashia, in the Bionicle fanfiction, she was an antagonist. She was the villain character for one of my main heroes that I had in the stories. And somewhere along the line, when I was experimenting with like trying to draw the character, um, uh, I was experimenting with different styles. Like, okay, can I start doing some more simple cartoon uh, styles instead of the heavily detailed showing all the machinery of the original character. And over time, I morphed into the design that what I'm drawing right now spawned from, and the whole cast of original characters that came out of that. So everything spawned out of these Bionicle OCs, and eventually I just had to. They took on a life of their own. So Rashia, originally a villain, over the course of trying to draw a more cartoony style, I started developing a different personality, a non-antagonistic personality. And so I just kind of had to, name stayed the same, but I had to create a new life for the character, a new story. And that's where, okay, I shut that off. All right. That's where the comic series started seeing its um, inception. But I had a cast of about 5 characters. I'm going to be trying to draw all of them this evening. And I'm realizing just what the level. That's why so I'm going to shrink this selection down just a little bit. There we go. Just so that I have more of the canvas to work with. Okay, back on that. There, this might actually speed things up a little bit. Get back on the pen. Okay, gotta deselect that. Not what I'm used to. Alright. And over time, I established about 5 of what I've been referring to as, the core 5. 5 characters that spawned off the initial Bionicle OC drawings that got cartoon stylized. And when I started developing a story for them, the personalities and the characters, and started giving them a story, I eventually, going into the world building elements of story design and whatnot, I'm like, okay, I gotta lump these all into one uh, species. I wanted them all to be one unified species. But, as you will eventually see, there was quite some differences in their character designs that posed some interesting questions. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, start working on the body here. So, Rashio was the first, and I'm going to get annoyed with that button being there because I'm so used to just it not being active. Okay, so kind of slim down the body a little bit. And eventually, you know, I started developing the character for Rashia, her personality, which thankfully evolved a lot over time, as well as some of the elements of her design. But I've kept the unique things about her pretty much in place, and the main unique things that stand out is the hair design. Uh, doesn't make much sense when you start looking at it in a real world sense, but the it's hard to explain. The curve here on the front, the way their hair up at the top curves over, was not originally that exaggerated. Not until I started really pushing the cartoon style. And then that's when I was like, all right, I'm going to exaggerate that curve, that hook, as much as I can possibly get away with. And so I did. I went all the way with that curve as much as I could. And then over time, the pigtails, as it were, those side tails with the hair. Okay. Okay, thank goodness the eraser stayed where it's supposed to stay. Those were originally much shorter on the character. They're only about coming just above, the shoulders there. But slowly, I started extending them. And so for basically, oh my gosh, basically most of the characters' history in the comic and stuff like that, I've got those things extended way down to about the hips. Just for some reason, that was the design that I settled on. But the rest of the hair doesn't go down that far. And early on, because the character was a bionicle, I had lights in the hair. I had coloration in the hair. You know, I had some of those design elements, and I'll kind of demonstrate that here a little bit. Actually, I should have done that on a separate layer. Whatever. I can erase those. It's like I'll do the coloration on this second layer. That's easy enough. Um, but evolving the character away from the bionicle elements, um, it's like I don't feel comfortable keeping the coloration there of the hair. I just don't. And so I made a decision to remove it, and I think that's where I started to keep uh, you know, the more exaggerated uh, hook, curve at the top, the extended side tails there. I was like, okay, I'm removing the color, but let me keep these other exaggerated features for the character's design. And for clothing, switching off of the Bionicle theme and trying to make the character something else, something unique. I was like, all right, I was going for kind of a human, um, human-like vibe. You know, taking a Bionicle character, really going some human aesthetics and vibes with personality and all that stuff, but without doing the whole taking the Bionicle character and then just making them human. I don't like that. That's a direction that I've never enjoyed myself. I know a lot of people have done that. I've seen some decent uh, adaptations of that. Okay. You know, if you can't get around the annoyance of the button, use the button. Learn to use the button. But maybe learn to use the pen and hold it in a different pattern. Ah. See, this is why this is an experimental art stream session this week. Because this is really the first time drawing in the art program. Let's see here. On this computer. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, we're combining those layers since I did that. Quite often, amazing how you forget what you're doing. That's okay. Alright, clean up some of the lines here. I'll start adding some color in a layer below. But mostly just kind of going in, doing some quick sketching. You know, I think even the face, I think I'll fix that up a little bit. I've tried to refine their designs a little bit, so I'm going to clean it up. Some of the features not being as exaggerated as they were in the past. Trying to get a more, you know, rounded, normal look. Something that you can better visualize as a 3D, uh, uh, you know, objects, 3D character. You can get an idea of, okay, this is why I'm seeing the character from this angle. And then you see it from another angle. It's like, okay, it still makes sense. Everything. Which is really difficult. Like the original, way back when, before I started refining, the original head designs were very, you know, and I did them more from the side, the profile, less head on or less from that slight angle like what I've got here. Uh, and they were really just kind of a few, you know, simple lines. And I only ever was comfortable with drawing one eye at a time on a face, so that's why everything was really drawn more heavily from the side, you know. So like we got, ooh, I don't like the way that curved there. Yeah. So more of a old school face here. This is what the designs were way back when. Very simple. You see that curve there? You know, so it started with the design, it evolved, but eventually, fortunately, thank goodness, I got to this, and it looks a lot better. Unfortunately, a lot of this has not been in the comic series yet. I've, you know, fallen off working on the comic just before I started improving the actual uh, design refinement for the character. Alright, so now I'm going to do what I always like doing with this initial sketch, because I like uh, the design, the look and feel of that sketch. You get that really looking like you're coming off of pencil and paper. Always have loved that. Um, I'm not really gonna be. Let's see here. Move that off to the side. Not really gonna be doing a lot of clean lines this week. I'm not gonna go in, do the fresh, clean, okay, lines. Just gonna stay in that sketch zone. But we'll definitely be adding in color, some shading to really make the characters pop out a little bit better. Alright, so that stays kind of saved. Okay. Let's clean up. And one of the things when I'm doing this, I like to get in pretty close into the drawings. It's one of those things I will get in real deep. The fuzzy pixelation and all that stuff to work on details. With cleaning up lines, or especially when I'm doing the line work, I will definitely go in, focus in. I'm not exactly sure how everybody else would do that, but it's just it feels like when you're working on pencil and paper, you lean into focus. So for me, that's just what I do. I zoom in, I close in to focus. All right, a little more cleaning up here. Trying to get the lines a little more sketched in and defined here. And I do have every, little detail, planned out. Like these lines here, these rings, is like, in the neck. I have exactly how many numbers of lines are supposed to go in those necks. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll kind of see what's going on once I start getting the color in, which I think I'm close enough now that I feel like we could start throwing in color into Rashia's sketch here. Just a little bit more here and there. I think that should do it. So let's get a layer for the color and actually move it down. Now, let's see here. Oh, that was something I did not get set up. Was the paint brush that I use. Of course, no. Okay, that annoys me. Alright, there we go. Now I have most of my color palette from the other version imported in here, most of it. There's some colors that aren't in there. So I'm all good. I've got all the colors I need for the batch of characters I'll be drawing tonight. And I need to shrink this down. Shrink it down more. I think I'm going to go about 5. Maybe 5.5. Leave it there. Alright. So, Rashia. Original skin tones are blues. I was like, my Rudaka ripoff was a blue character. I had the standard, standard blue color, the standard Lego blue color, and then the light blue. So think of Gali's color scheme. Toa Gali, one of the first Bionicle characters. So I had more or less her color scheme for Rudaka, or my Rudaka, Rashia. And so color scheme stays the same, kind of modified over time, like what elements uh, receive what coloration. Like I don't know that I had all of the light blue elements uh, all the way through the character in their set parts originally, but over time it's like, all right, these are the areas that are colored the main blue, these are the areas that are colored the light blue, and then you know, hair was like supposed to be a silvery gray, and it's kind of weird. Kind of doesn't make sense once I kind of started humanizing the characters, making them their own thing. It's like, okay, so in all these characters, they got hair, but it's naturally silvery gray. Interesting. But I'm not going to have every single character have that, as you'll see some characters will have, you know, uh, darker black hair. Some characters have, golden yellow hair. So it's like, okay, I'm creating a rather unique mix of features and traits for a group of characters that I'm going to all eventually lump into one species for the sake of world building in this comic's story. And that posed an interesting challenge, but one that was fun to work through. So, but I kept Rashia's design as I finalized her as in this version as a more human-like character. I kept it fairly simple. I decided to go with, a white top, and it's kind of hard to see with. Uh, let's get kind of something more uh, grayish here. That way it pops a little bit better. There you go. So, giving her most of the times just kind of a white top. I've drawn her a few times with kind of a gray top with kind of some pink highlights. Yep. Yeah, no, this t-shirt. Her basic form, her design, her basic outfit has been just kind of plain white t-shirt, and jeans. And I gotta try and remember where the color for the jeans is. I think it's in this batch. There we go. Yeah, just kind of for her drawing the upper torso, but there we go. So, how are you doing, Doo-Wop? Stopping by for the experiment, the art stream experiment. I'll be chatting away about these characters for the next hour or so, probably. But let's see here. Get the eyes in there. And coming off of them having originated from Bionicle characters, I was like, alright, the eyes are gonna be not your standard normal coloration there. That's good to hear. Well, I'm doing rather well this week. Uh, we've got this experiment today, and since I won't be live streaming tomorrow, it's like, all right, I'm going to be doing this experiment. We'll have some fun with this, and definitely it's been a good week so far. All right, so we got the colors, and I'll kind of show that since I drew these in. The original design for the character, I'm going to use a lighter blue. Let's get that. Okay, it's only in here. Slightly a lighter blue. her character originally had blue highlights in the hair coming off of that, bionicle design where you had lights and stuff in the hair. Rudaka's design in the movies or in the comics and stuff like that. I was copying a lot of those elements, and so Rashia kind of looked like this in the early days. Picture, you know, that head design there, with these colorations and stuff like that. So that was her design years ago when she was first getting design, being established. Um, Now I've removed the hair highlights. I've kind of done a like, okay, anytime I do show them, it'd be like something that she did in her teen years, kind of experimenting with hair coloration or whatnot. So let's get the shading in there now. When I first started digital art, I did not know what I was doing with the shading on my characters. So in my palette, I've got multiple variants of a lot of these colors. The level of brightness and darkness to them, and that's what I was using for shading. Way back when. All right, I'll start learning. So I would get a color and do the shading that I wanted to do for that particular color, and then I would have to go back for the next color, pick that out, and do the same thing, and then try and have to clean up and match up where colors are, clean up where I ended up getting some overlap here and there. And it worked for a while. I don't think a lot of people really ever noticed that that's what I was doing, but it was a mess. It was hands down uh, a mess. And then one day, I was watching a video and saw someone else's technique, and it has stuck with me ever since because it's like, duh, it's so simple, it's so stupid, and the only color I need is black. So I don't remember the name of the channel, the video, because this was years ago at this point, 8, 9 years ago, and where on their separate layers, separate from the colors, they would go take that layer, reduce the let's see here, yeah, reduce the opacity, and then just use black and go in where they would put the shadows. And I want to make sure I got this about 30% is where I like to have it for my shadows on my characters. And that way, they just use one color and they can go over, you know, the entire character without having to change the coloration of their brush, and they get the shadows just as they want them. It makes it easy for cleaning up and all that. I saw that. I was like, that is brilliant. I'm kind of do a bit of a harsh. The light is really coming off of a side here. I think that'll help, especially since that's how I started here with the hair. Still not an expert all the way with the uh, lighting and shadows and stuff like that, but I'm get it to the point where I get comfortable. I'm like, okay, I think that looks uh, good for the drawing that I have. So I'm just gonna quickly throw in some of the shadowing here, clean it up a little bit towards the end. just kind of go fast here. Since I'm keeping these in a sketch design, and I'm sick and tired of hitting that button on the pen, I'll be disabling that afterwards because I'm just not used to that being the case. Not used to that being something that I have to deal with. Alright. Let's kind of clean it up a little bit. Shadowing seems almost a little too dark. I don't know if I'm just not used to it on this computer or what. Let's go just bring it down a little bit. Okay. GD Cat, hi. It's a new face here. Okay. Here we go. How's your day? How are you doing? Alright. So, I'm gonna try just clean that up a little bit. Alright. Not gonna go crazy with the cleaning up of all the lines and all the coloration stuff like that, but there we go. We got first design of first character drawn up here. She was the first character established with story and personality. No, I currently have not been doing OC requests and drawings and stuff like that. I kind of did a little bit years ago, but I dropped off with that, especially when the amount of drawing that I did dropped off. I went through a period of basically lack of motivation and blatantly just depression. So most of what I draw is pretty much focused on, the things I want to work on, characters and stuff that I'm comfortable and familiar with doing. And tonight's session is just kind of mostly simple working on, big experimental session, make sure I could even do this tonight. And I'm gonna focus on the characters that I know. So sorry about that. But there's Rashia. Always the interesting styling of the name there. So Rashia, there were four more characters that spawned off of her design over the time. I'm trying to remember who was number 2, because I had 2 that kind of spawned at the same time. First, I think we'll just focus first on the first male character, the male counterpart. And that would be Jack. Straight up simple name, Jack. He's a cool guy. I'm not influenced by a certain samurai cartoon show, or just the fact that that's just a super common name for main characters that become main characters in some regards. So Jack was the first male character done up in the style that Rashia established. And I'll try and speed through him a little bit. And I went with an opposite color palette, so Jack is red and orange, kind of mirroring Rashia in some regards. His personality, kind of reserved. Okay, messing up the eyes a little bit here. I gotta look at that a little bit better here. Let me see. I can fix those eyes. Those eyes just a little wonky. Sometimes the eyes can be tricky with these characters. Not always, but sometimes. All right. Jack can kind of, you know, seems a little bit more passive. Quite often I draw him and, it's kind of a, uh, not always with a big smile on his face like I do with some of the other characters. He's almost got more thoughtful, concerned expressions to him. Um, let's see here. Give him good sized chin there. He's got to have a good square chin. Let's see. What direction should he be looking? I think I'm gonna kind of give him a little bit more of a looking up. As far as the eyes are concerned. Something a little more like that. Okay, I'm curious. I always end up doing this. But like I like to check the scaling. So he's definitely I'm scaling his head just a little too large. There we go. Get him raised. And we'll call that good. Alright. We'll stay backed out for a little bit. Hopefully that will speed up the drawing process just a little bit. Alright, 1, 2, 3. Kind of going for the number 4 to kind of help give me some shape, some perspective on starting down and into the chest, the body region. Give them the bit broader shoulders since we're working with the male character here. I'm trying to I want to do something a little differently with the that's an idea. Draw him holding a cup or something like that. His favorite beverage, just plain old simple water in there. That's what we'll do. He's a simple guy. In some ways, he takes after me. In other ways, I hope I don't take after him. Spoilers. Let's see here. Gotten a little bit better with, drawing poses with these characters. Trying to keep arms and limbs more in a natural flow. Because quite often when I was early years working with these characters, like this elbow would be clear out here. I'd have an angle like this. So I'm keeping the elbows a little more tucked in there. I've been learning over the years. Improving slowly but surely. Okay. Get some of the lines for the shirt in there. Alright, so it's a little bit more angle. That cup is rather massive. Could probably slim that down a little bit. Yeah, not too much. Not too much. Hands still are a weak point for me. I think they will always be a weak point. Since I'm just doing some sketches here, I'm not going to get too bogged down with hand details. So I'm just going to kind of throw in the simple lines. Okay, let me try maybe just a little more like this. Thumb seems a little high, but if I clean that up, maybe it won't appear that high. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, Jack did not have a fully fleshed out personality and stuff. I didn't really uh, get a good feel for his personality in the early years with his character. I only once I started to work on storylines for the comic series that I wanted to do did I start getting some ideas of like what his character should be like and where his character would eventually evolve. Uh, and that definitely helped refine some of his personality. That brought him back into uh, uh, an area where I could be like, okay, this is what his personality would be like. You know, not not a pushover in any regards. He's not really hothead like one of the other characters. You know, close friend. Um, you know, willing to fight and stand beside his friends, his allies. But he's still just kind of, you know, he's a quieter character. So it's like you know, saying that he's a reserved individual is, you know, one of the best ways I can put his character. Um, go, just kind of, it's looking a little ugly on that side. Oh well. Well, now that he's got a cup, now changing which direction he's looking. Now I want to experiment. Let me see what this will look like if I just tilt it just ever so slightly, lower it down, and then throw in the eyes. And that's going to require changing the eyelid positions as well. Changing just a little bit of the expression. And give him a little bit more of a, not quite sad, just kind of that, almost a blank stare. Kind of comes across sad, yes. But in some regards, that is the elements of his character that get highlighted when I draw these. Yeah. So, in his later years, perhaps, in his later years. Now, the character that would be doing that is coming up next, but she's not the sad type. Definitely the partying type. So, you know, drawing just a little bit more of that character. There we go. Yeah. But no, no, no. Definitely, this is H2O in this cup. Definitely, that's what he's drinking. If anything, maybe lemonade. Lemonade. I like lemonade. I don't drink lemonade very often, and I do kind of like a little bit on the strong side. Right, we'll throw in colors now for him. If I can find. There we go. Not overall pleased with the expression, but it's what we're working with right now. So when I first designed Jack, I wanted it. Oh my gosh, what was that? I wanted him to be an opposite of Rashia as far as the design was concerned. I hadn't gotten the personality down, so the personality is some ways the opposite of Rashia, but she's more a middle ground between Jack and the next character that will get drawn. Um, but so it's like, all right, what's the opposite color of blue? Well, that's red, obviously. So I more or less just mirrored his color design off of Rashia. So he's red. He's got the orange. I gotta select the correct oranges here out of the 15 dozen different orange colors we got going on. Because the orange of his color, his skin color, is a different orange, ever so slightly, from the orange of the pupils, or the eyes. Same thing with the red of his skin color is a slightly different red, ever so slightly, of those with the red in his eyes. And okay, that's about all of this exposed skin there. So let's get the eyes thrown in there. And I mean, it's not horribly noticeable. So you can see it's slightly darker, just ever so slightly, a little bit more orange. I'll kind of remove it, add it a few times. I don't know with pixelization that live streams can have sometimes how visible that is, but just know it's a slightly different color orange. Same thing with the red. The red of the eyes is almost a little brighter, just ever so slightly. There we go. And alright, we're working with, come to clothes next. And so, whereas Rashia, she's got white shirt. Jack wears black. It's interesting. It doesn't quite fit his personality when you start thinking about it. But his design was originally a mirror design, the mirror color palette of Rashia. And so he started off wearing black, and it has just stuck over time. In some ways, I guess you could make the argument. I mean, black works for a lot of things. I wear dark colors naturally quite often. Um, I have a lot of dark navy blue shirts, um, black t-shirts, and these darker gray colors. So I don't have that really flamboyant or outgoing or whatnot, or even the emo personalities or something like that. Personalities that you might associate with a color like black, but sometimes it's just something that a person or a character is just comfortable wearing, and certain colors just for some reason uh, sit well on an individual. And this black shirt, oh my gosh, we'll use the button. This black shirt sits well for Jack in his uh, average everyday outfit. There is like one or two other outfits that I have designed for him, but those go heavy into spoiler territories, unfortunately for the character and the comic series. So those stay under lock and key until the decade that I get around to actually working on the comic again. Unfortunately. There we go, add in the color of the jeans. And for all the rest of the characters, I'm going to throw in shading and shadowing after I get the rest of them on there, since I am actually probably going to go a little bit longer than I anticipated. Alright, let's see, what kind of color should I make this cup? I'm thinking kind of a bluish color, but not the same blue as Rashia. What does this look like? Kind of a do blue on the outside, white on the inside sort of color. Something like that. Yeah. Maybe just a light blue. No, I don't like the light blue. Don't like the light blue. white but an off-white. There we go. So there we have it. We got Jack. Woohoo! A little bit of sad emotion there with him. Not the saddest. Not the saddest character yet. Alright. I'm gonna stick with keeping black on while I do these. And the third character that kind of spawned in the initial batch, but was the base off building off all the other characters, was basically a sister character to Rashia. And she definitely, okay, I'm gonna do some fun with her character here. So I'm gonna need a little bit of space here to start. I'm thinking, how do I want to approach this with her? Because I have kind of a pose. Okay, here we go. So okay, tilt the head just a little bit down. It's kind of hard to tell with where I'm starting things here, and I'll refine it a little bit as I get going. I gotta get the rough shape thrown in there. If it would help if I would stop hitting the button on the side of the stylus, the pen. Okay, so she's gonna have more of an angry look to her. She's gonna have that serious. She's giving someone some dirty looks. So I'm gonna get the eyes kind of thrown in so I can get an idea of where the face, how I'm gonna have to adjust the face. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Just get an idea of that angry look. Okay, so need to angle the lower lids just a little bit, give them a little sharper contours to that roundness that is the default state. Okay, so bring in the snout, the jaw a little bit here. So that means I'm also going to need to readjust the line to kind of show the nose, kind of slim it down a little bit, just a little bit. Definitely give her a little bit more of that angry look. She's got more fire in her. I don't remember if I actually said out loud what her name is. So, character originally started off, her name was Red. And that speaks partly into the color palette, but mostly coming off of like the personality, red hot, fiery hot. That was the motivation behind the name. You know, some of the color palette spoke into that, but it was definitely the personality that was developing for this one. So kind of bring that in a little bit. Okay, definitely kind of look at that. Get that a little bit more mean. Gotta get that a little more mean. Red's a character that she's in the cast of the heroes, the protagonists, you know, the good guys and stuff like that. But she's one of those characters that I'm more open with being able to allow to do more. You know, some of the activities and the talking that I myself would not necessarily partake in. You know, as you had mentioned earlier about you know, cup of alcohol. She's one that would partake in that. I personally am not one that would partake in that. She's the one that would have more of a potty mouth. That would, curse someone out with some foul language. Uh, so that's her character, and just became that. Okay, man, that eye, this eye is just messing with me right now. But I think once I get the rest of the face going in here, I think I can fix it. But so far, I'm not liking it. But I'll get it fixed. So I'm gonna give her a little bit more. She's thinking about the pose. You know what it is. It's how much I pulled that out. I got pulled that in. So there we go. That's kind of helping a little bit. Bringing that in. That's what I got to do. But yeah, and I'm gonna have to. So I'll be a little creative here with her pose that I'm gonna be doing. I want to finish kind of getting the head uh, in position. Get her hair, which is not as crazy as Rashia's, but it is not, something that you would see in a normal human hairstyle. Um, she's not gonna have the crazy over the top of the head, but a more tame hairdo than Rashia, or a much more temperamental character than Rashia. Go figure, huh? Okay, let's see. Right, kind of think about. I have to back up just a little bit to get the pose going here. This will be an interesting one. Move so I got a little bit more space, and then I'm gonna readjust sizing here because she's one of the shorter characters as well in the current cast. That might have, speak into some of the personality. Just saying. Okay, let's see here. Let's get that going there just a little bit. Work on rest of the pose here. Let's see here. Just roughing it out. I think arm needs to be drawn in just a little bit more. Yeah. If I would stop hitting that button, that would be great. Okay, stop hitting that button. There we go. Got the general shape of the pose here going. We can start filling in details as we want them and adjusting as needed. Okay. Yeah. Red ended up becoming the nickname for the character over time. So, character has a different in-canon name. A little bit, yeah. Let's see here. Just kind of wondering if I got the proportions not quite. All right, I gotta getting there, getting there. Yeah, she's developed for the sake of the comic series. Different names. So Red stays as the nickname for the character. Um, and it was definitely, the fiery hot temper. One moment she'd be laughing, having fun with the best of them, having a good time, but then you said something and you peeved her off. And there's no other way around saying it. And so she could come unstuck on you. Uh, you know, don't count her out of the fight. She'll throw down with the best of them. Uh, just that was the personality. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna play around with the eyes there a little bit more. But, we'll try and finish in body a little bit more. I feel like this hand's just a little too sizable, but we're quick sketching this. Quick sketching this. So her color design ended up being a darker red than Jack with a black color. So she's red and black for skin design, skin tones. Basically, most all these characters have a two-tone skin design. Let's get, uh, and that is what I ended up uh, more or less sticking with. There's a few characters that kind of have cheat a little bit that end up having three colors in their skin designs, but that's kind of few and far in between with their uh, species in universe. So most of the times it's pretty much uh, a primary skin tone and a secondary skin tone. And all right, let's back out. Take a look at that. Well, it's a start for the pose. Start for the pose. It's the eyes. Let me finish up the pose and I'll fix the eyes as best I can. It's definitely the eyes. If it's not the eyes, then I'm seeing things. It's my eyes. It's a dang button on here. Okay. The arm. The arm. What I'm going to fix with the arm is change some of the angles a little bit. So less straight up, especially this portion of the body. Yeah, you would think a yellow and black. I technically don't think I have a yellow and black combination for any of these characters. Um, just off the top of my head. No. I was like, I got like yellow variants, black variants, but I don't think I've done a combination of yellow and black. But I think, okay, this helps a little bit more with the pose. Bringing out the arm, lowering it down here. Let's finish up the arm. Got the hand going in here. And It's trying to, okay. Now we gotta throw in, you know, I gotta keep it at a good rating, all audience ratings, even for characters that are a little crazy. So, unfortunately, and, people will have a good idea of, the educated will know exactly what she's doing, but, oh gosh, that did not work. But, definitely she is, yeah, there's a little, uh, well, that's wrong. You can't read that. There's a little birdie in there. So that's her personality. All right, now let's fix this eye. Let's take a look at this eye here. Let's get that adjusted. Let's see what we need to do. Maybe it's some of the. I think I have an idea. We're gonna definitely narrow the eyes a little bit. That'll definitely help. Uh, yeah, it's looking better. Not perfect, but it's better. It's better now. What if we move it just a little? Okay. Let's back out. See what that looks like. Still a little off. Another thing that's off about it. Head placement. For the way that she's tilting her head down, kind of need to have it a little leaning a little lower so we see less of the top of the neck here. That's what I have. Kind of a little forward, and then we'll clean it up here. Clean up where things dragged over. There we go. It's better. That's better. And I realized I did this on the color layer that Jack's colors are on. Oh boy, what fun. So, new layer for her colors. If I can get that layer down correctly, that would be great. So, her red. I think it's this one. It's a hard time. I got double check with. Oops, that's the wrong. Um, I got double check with my palette over on the MacBook. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right. Sorry if I smack the mic too much. All right, 1, 2, 3. It's this one. So go in there. Give her the red primary skin tone here. And now the designs of where the primary and the secondary evolve ever so slightly. And I don't know what I just did to do that. I hit another button on the stylus I did not know was there. So for her, the red primary this time is slightly different on the body. We got different, you know, designs on the characters. Diverse coloration in their species as it is. So I think that's all of the skin there that's showing for that color. And got the black. Going in here for secondary skin tone. The arm that's, waving high, giving you the one finger salute. Very happy to see you. You must have said something to put her in a mood to set her off, huh? Alright. Want to get those eyes colored in now. Those eyes are staring at your soul, trying to kill it, pierce it straight through. Because obviously, you're an idiot, whoever you are. Got the hairband here. It's helping her keep that hairdo up. And we'll color in the hair on the correct layer. Color in the hair in the correct layer. Yes, please. Let's not keep messing things up. I've lost too much time to the blasted button on the stylus. At least that's what it feels like. And then 2, 3. Color in the tank top here. And obviously, black. She's already rocking it. Rock it harder. And now we can decide, I bounce back and forth sometimes with her character. Uh, is this a day where she's wearing jeans, or is this a day where she's, wearing a skirt or something like that? So, and that will depend on like what color I will draw here. So I will say like this is a day maybe she's rocking a skirt. So I'm going to pick. Let's see which color it was. I think it's this color right here that I decided was the skirt color for this outfit. Even though I'm not drawing much of anything below the hips, the waist area for these characters. Oh, there we go. There's, the ever so cheerful red. I gotta just clean up one little thing here. There we go. Alright. Now I'm actually gonna make the canvas size a little bit larger now, so I have a little bit more room to work with. We're trying to squeeze in. Shoot, I already forgot what I was doing. Oh, no. That was the wrong direction. That was totally the wrong direction. We're going, oh my gosh. There we go. That's plenty of room there. There we go. That is plenty of room. So these were the first 3 that were created. First I had Rashia and Jack and Red, kind of roughly same time, same period. And both were kind of being mirror characters in their respective ways to the first adaptation of Rashia in this design. You had Jack being the literal male character mirror and color palette and all that in those elements, and then Red being a little bit of that mirror color to a degree in the color palette, but largely in the personality designs for the characters. And I've always had these two kind of playing off as sister characters, and that plays into the story as well. Alright. Now, the next character. We'll mix up the design just ever so slightly. The next character started off evolving kind of out of an insect design, but then morphed more into reptilian uh, inspirations and features. And that's going to be our next male character that we're going to do. And that is Richard Darris. Mr. Richard. Let's see. Do I want to do anything special with his? Yeah. It's hard to think of a good pose right off the... I have an idea. We'll try that. That's going to be hard to show off his features, though. So let's see here. Well, let's just start getting those head in here. I'm gonna have him a little bit more looking off the side. So we're gonna do a little bit more of an angle with his drawing than the other characters, just so we can emphasize a few more elements of his design. You get better look, better idea of his design. So, oh, excuse me. Going to narrow out, lengthen out the face here, since we're going to be seeing it a little more in that side profile. Okay, try and find where back of the skull is. You know, this area right here, and this little circle portion in the design that you've been seeing. That's a holdover from the Bionicle elements, the Bionicle inspirations. I have not found a good anatomical explanation of that design for this when I turn these characters into species. But I've left it in there. It is just part of the character's design. I will not remove it from the design. It's there. I have no good explanation other than the fact that I just want it there. It's a good anchor point for drawing off the features, the expressions for the characters. Especially since the way that I have their expressions with their mouths draws all the way back there. Kind of like a lot of canine or reptilian characters, with longer faces, longer snouts. How sometimes they've got those wider, spaces with the lips, between the lips, or it draws back a little bit further. So it's a good anchoring point in drawing that. So like we're giving him a good smile going on here. Feeling kind of happy about this. I'm only gonna be drawing the one eye from this slight more profile angle. Alright. And might have to move that just a little bit up and forward, or right about there, until I decide otherwise. Yeah, kind of a neutral expression in the eyes, but definitely keeping the and give him a little bit more of a open face smile. He's got the mouth. He's ready to express those teeth, those canines that I'm not going to draw in this drawing, but just know, these guys have some canines. They're meat eaters. Not very often do I go in and draw the teeth. I do have a um, uh, version of their smile. Uh, you know, the big, you know, grinning smile. I do have a version of that where I will go in and I will draw the teeth and get the canines in there, and it's like really looks menacing for a smile. Uh, there we go. Liking the face this time. The face is turning out well, especially since he's got a longer profile. Um, so far, he looks about the same as any of the other of them. All right, yeah, nothing too crazy here. Uh, so you're like, what? What's so different about this guy? What's so unique and special about his design? How did he get designed out of, an insect and got some reptilian things like, outside of what you've already said? Well, I finished getting the, some roughness with the shoulders in here to kind of get the bust, thrown in there. All right, now for some reason my favorite part to draw, my favorite part of drawing his design here. It is the pen would cooperate the horns on the character. And they're not standard horns like, bone or whatnot horns that you would see in other characters. And I'm really exaggerating them, I think. Hold on. If I get them fully set in. Yeah, I think I'm over exaggerating them a little bit, but I'll bring them in. I'll rein them in just smidgen. Let's see. Yep. There we go. This is the first element that sets him apart from a lot of the other characters. Visually right off the bat when you're looking at him head on or from the side, you see he's not that plain design that Jack really is. This guy's got more going on here. What is the deal? So his portion of the species, his subspecies, they have horns. These guys demonstrate, some more reptilian traits. You can kind of say, got the dragon-like traits to them. Uh, you know, with the head design. Um, and he's also got a tail. Again, throwing off that. It's gonna be hard to. I'm gonna have to draw a lot more of him, his body, to show off all of his traits. So let me just really quickly stop pressing the button. Get the arms in here. Very poorly get the arms in here. There. So shirt, chest, waist. Come down a little further with the shirt. Get the legs. And throw in the tail. We'll have it come curving back up, out from behind him. So like, this is where the camera's going to be cutting off, but we'll get that tail curving back up here so you can kind of see it. And we're going to give the tail that, segmented look like what we see with the neck, and that segmentation actually is also apparent in the abdomen region as well, but I'm not going to be drawing my characters in the buff, not on a live stream. I could get away without the male characters. I'm not going to do that with the female characters. Alright, so get the segments in. Again, that's kind of a holdover from the Bionicle era of drawing the characters. He's also got hands that are a little more claw-like. You know, it'd be easier. Let me draw this hand up here. Uh, yeah. There we go. So he's got 3 digits on each hand. The other characters have 4 digits, 3 fingers and a thumb. He's got the equivalent of 2 fingers and a thumb, but in a more claw-like appearance. So, some very different elements to his design here and there. Just kind of set him apart. So let's see here. So hands come down like that. So adjusting the arm. Perspective is a little weird. Unless I bring the hand up a little more, but I think that can work. I think we can make that work for just a basic sketch. Yeah. So the elements with the horns, those were originally drawn trying to do a more, an insect character, and where I was doing something, a head crest, a headpiece, um, and it was really extended out, doing something, maybe I was trying something with like, some weird antennas or spikes, some adornment, and eventually the design got converted into same design, body plan and design as the other characters, and I just kind of was like, all right, I'm gonna take it more in a reptile direction then, with them being horns, can give him the clawed hands, tail, really emphasize that, and but for the rest of the body plans and portions and all that stuff, I'm gonna uh, bring him into alignment with the other characters, uh, keeping some human-like expressions, yeah, and body language there. So not going crazy outside of the few features that set him apart physically. And personality-wise, kind of have him being sort of laid back, uh, a, not quite like a chill guy, but uh, definitely much more of a cheerful, especially in comparison to Jack. He wears a smile on his face a whole lot more often, and boy, I'm making him look a little pudgy. Eh, it's okay. Bring in the waist just a little bit here. Get the stuff there for the jeans. Bring the shirt down. There we go. And we'll throw in. Hold on. Finish out the shirt. I don't have that settled out quite the way I want it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's this area there. The segments in the neck. There. Let's get a little bit more line depth or darkness into the eyes, just a little bit. There we go. Now we'll throw in the color for him. I think we're going that green. So he is a combination of green and black for his palette design in skin tones. There'll also be some gray highlights in a few areas, but the only, yeah, just remembering, yeah. So green, black, and gray in a few more areas. So he's one of the characters that has uh, three skin tones. And most often when I draw these characters, I don't really draw the teeth, not in these designs. If I try to do a little bit more detailed drawings, which I have done in the past, not very often. Like I kind of did some for like some uh, basic anatomy for the characters um, years ago. Uh, I went in and since I was drawing things like internal organs and skeletal features stuff like that, I definitely had was drawing in the teeth, showing those pearly whites off. All right, get rest of the green going in here. Nice green tail as well. Gonna look a little large there. I'm gonna cut the green off right about there. And then not everywhere black. It's largely just black coloration on the limbs. So the lower portions of the limbs, so lower arm, the shins, uh, are a black tone, all the way down, the hands into the feet. Uh, gets a nice black tone to him. And then for the neck, kind of a midsection area, of the body, the abdomen body, some of the uh, segmented areas, the old Bionicle holdover elements, they get a gray coloration on Richard. Throw that in there on the neck. And then just right here, this skin, right here. And in the anatomy of the character, so leaning into kind of a more reptilian trait. So reptilians, quite often, you've got that cold-blooded element to the characters. And so my in-universe anatomy lessons for, with the horns here is they use that for temperature regulation. So like this area with the skin uh, packed full of blood vessels to kind of help regulate uh, uh, temperature through the blood, just like a lot of say like desert foxes or rabbits and stuff like that that have the really large ears, extended surface area for the blood vessels to release body heat from. So that's kind of the in-universe anatomy uh, explanation around this small feature for the character's design. Just a little fun fact there to throw in. We'll get the eyes colored in. Red and orange, just like all the rest of them. We'll get the mouth drawn in. Let's get this dark here for kind of the shadowy area and the tongue. And since I didn't draw the teeth, can't draw in some pearly whites. Give him, he's got just plain gray. Don't know why. but it sits well. Like all the colors that I draw them in, it's like these are just trying not to go crazy with the outfits for every single character, especially this original cast is just kind of like, all right, quick, simple, easy to recognize. Future characters, they got a little bit more going on with them in the outfit department for sure. So more time gets spent um, having to draw and color those elements. And why is that taking forever to move? Good heavens. Didn't even get the brush as large as I was hoping for to quickly speed through that. Okay, now I gotta shrink it back down. Guess it'll be faster just to type it in. So I can throw in the coloration for the claws. You know, supposed to be sort of like a silvery gray. But I use the same color gray for a lot of things. Really can use the coloration to finish in the sketch here on him. And the jean color that I use in this palette, just a very simple blue color, kind of a lighter jean color, not a dark jean color. Something you would think kind of be like a slightly faded. So most of my characters I draw with this jean design to them. Alright, so there's Richard. Let's throw his name up there like the rest of them. Right in here. Richard. Crazy with the writing. So I'm definitely going a lot longer with this than I was expecting, probably because I'm taking a little bit longer with the sketching process and talking about the characters. But I want to finish off the core five, the five original characters that I started off with that helped me build the story for the Worlds Apart comic series that I started and still have plans to finish someday. Just don't know when that day will be. But I at least got a chapter and a half, or a third at least, uh, actually drawn out years ago when I started heavily working on it before life hit me. So this final character, uh, I love her design. My mom has stated that the outfit that she has, the coloration and the palette reminds her of Daphne from Scooby-Doo. And I see it. I subconsciously, maybe that's where the inspiration was getting pulled from. But when I was taking these five characters, and each one having some unique traits to them, especially these last two of Richard and Daisy. Some of their traits made it a challenge to combine all these characters into one species for the sake of world building. So I eventually settled on my explanations and stuff like that. I'm going to try to not go into too many of those details. But I worked my way to make all the characters without having to change their designs drastically to fit a given mold. And part of the elements is like, you know, I'm making a species that is diverse. There's two subspecies. They're close enough. They you know are able to interbreed. So there's vast variation that can happen in the physical traits of the characters that are in the story. But some of the physical features, the traits on Daisy, made it very difficult to be like, okay, these are designs and traits that are only on her that I have not yet been able to uh, fully utilize or justify on a lot of other characters or future characters that came out of this design. And it's like, you know what? Okay. Well, my explanation ended up coming to be that, you know, there are genetic mutations that happen in real life. People have abnormalities and stuff like that, you know, traits that will pop up that, you know, cause some weird things. You know, people with uh, 6 digits on one hand or on a toe. That's an example. Uh, you know, uh, rare eye colors. That's another example, and that's something that you'll see in Daisy. So I had a bunch of these small little traits in Daisy uh, that piled up, and it's like, okay, the only explanation I can go with so easily is that she's got a lot of these that just happened to her. You know, none of them detrimental to her health or anything like that, but it ended up spilling over into her personality. Uh, you know, to the point where she's, you know, one that in the stories, the comic story and stuff like that, she's the one that at the onset would be the person with the low self-esteem, has the lower self-esteem. Uh, she's almost more shy than I've led Jack to be. Uh, so she's more closed in on herself. And in the story, I utilize her friendship with the others as the means and method that of her breaking free, you know, coming to grips with, you know, her physical uh, abnormalities, her uniqueness in her physical traits that sets her apart from everybody else around her. Uh, but this group of friends, they don't care. They don't see that. They see past that. They're like, you know what? You know, you're a kind-hearted person. We see that. We're gonna break you out of that shell. You know, as Red would say. We're gonna get you partying and all that. So, uh, so a lot of times when I draw her, you know, I've got kind of a sad, somber expression. She's a little withdrawn, closed in, and it's also strange, like, you know, some of the coloration. I give her that vibrant pink outfit. Um, okay, and this is getting a little weird since I don't draw her that often. So I'm having initial difficulties getting the portions just right from the neck coming down to the chest. So I think that'll be just fine right there. Okay, get the body thrown in here a little bit. There we go. There we go. So that's a lot of what her personality is like. And in the story, the character's story, as much as gets told in the comic series as I want to tell, as well as outside of the comic series, uh, I have her grow out of that. She, you know, will find the confidence in herself. And a large part of that will come due to the fact that, you know, in regular everyday life, she didn't have to deal with literal monsters and creatures trying to kill her or do worse. So life ain't all that bad, actually, you know. So have her find confidence in that. It's like, I can tackle the everyday when I know that every day is not something that's going to kill me. It's only if I'm going to be faced with a monster, you know, a drooling, snarling monster. I don't need to worry. I can be myself. You know, so that's a small, kind of trying to be a life lesson type of thing. An individual life lesson type of character to for people to see here. I know, not horribly original. None of these characters are horribly original in any way, but it's what I ended up settling on for the cast. So, but these core five, as I've titled them and referred to them as, they're the ones that help build this universe. If it hadn't been for them, the whole universe and storyverse that I've developed off and on, whether actually drawing in the comic format or just writing notes in a notebook, would not have come about if not for these five characters and me wanting to do something with their designs. Give them a life, give them um, a story, a purpose, something to do. So, I'm very glad for these five characters. And they have spawned off so many other characters since then. That hopefully, you know, maybe other art streams, I can show off some of these other characters. Hopefully I can get back to actually working on Worlds Apart, finish up that comic series, right? I say finish up, but that's there's a lot of story to that. But at least get back to working on the story. That would be a goal to have for the near future. Um, I think I'm going to be trying to finish up a few other projects before then, before I really set my focus on that. But it's definitely a goal. So there we go. And she is, unique. She's got some standalone sleeves here. You'll see once I kind of start throwing some color in. Let's see here. Just kind of getting a rough idea of body here. That might need to come down lower, but we'll see. All right. Let's see. Yeah, definitely throw in skirt for her. Zoom out, take a look at that. need to stop hitting the button. I know I've said that 50,000 times tonight, but it's getting really annoying for me. Trying to speed it up just a little bit since I'm about to hit the 2-hour mark. I was not expecting to go a full 2-hour session. So just kind of come down to about the knees here. And this whole segment here needs to shrunken down just a little bit, brought back into proportion. It's off, but oop, take off there. Let's try and clean it up. Bring the waist. I'm just gonna butcher it. Yeah, just gonna be butchering it. So let me just go ahead and start throwing color in. So I want to get the color and the characters colored in. I'm not gonna get all the shading. I'm gonna get the characters colored in now. So just a simple tan and gray for her skin tones. Okay, let's see here. Tan there for the hands. And a little bit of legs that are showing. Go in with darker gray than the hair color for the other characters, and it is not going to stand out on the current gray backdrop, not very well. We'll get that in there. She's got golden yellow hair. And her outfit, nice, vibrant pinks. And once she's all colored in, you'll probably see the same vibes that my mom sees. Like, you know, I see some inspiration or some similarities to Daphne in a way. Once the design is all thrown in, the colors here. Okay. Whereas Daphne's got the more of the purples though, but just the overall feel of the outfit. It's like, okay, yes, I do see that. So in there, we'll keep this not extended down. Try not to hit that button while I'm filling this in, because otherwise the screen's gonna go all over the place. And stockings, leggings, whichever term for to use. Alright, now the other pink. Which one was it? Was it this pink? Or the other? I think it's this pink. Yeah, it was a darker tone. So I'm definitely shortcutting, slimming up the sketch for her, but running out of time for this evening. I want to quickly get it finished colored in. Hola, flan? Flame flan. You're just tuning in. You're catching in the closing moments of what I'm going to be doing this evening, but glad you were able to stop by. We're almost done with this, the last character I'm going to be sketching this evening. And then we'll zoom out, we'll take a look at the core five. And she, unlike all the other characters, she has blue eyes. I'm trying to remember, I think it was in this palette, this blue, the pupils. I'm going to change the background color so the gray on her stands back out again. So let's see here. And we'll darken it a little bit. That didn't help out as much. See how that interferes with the other characters. Okay, not too much. But yes, yeah. Flame. Okay, let's see. Well, thank you very much, Epic Gamer. Let's see here. Okay, I'll throw in her name on here, and that'll be it. That is the character of Daisy. These are the core five. Find and established an entire series, an entire storyline. So, no, they're not snakes. They're, reptilian references are definitely a feature pulled in, but these were originally, and I talked about this, when I first started the session, but these were originally bionicle characters that eventually evolved into their own thing. So, and eventually I was drawing inspiration from reptile elements, which are definitely more evident in this guy here, in Richard. But they're their own unique, species, their own unique set of characters. So, but these are the core five. They've defined the entire species. They've built an entire story. Um, each one with their own personalities. Over the years, I've developed their histories, a lot of their likes, dislikes, and all that sort of stuff. And I've just, they're my children. They're my story children. I love this cast of characters. Uh, you know, the ups and downs, everything they go through in their lives. So definitely. Uh, Unfortunately, this kind of wraps up. I gotten hit the 2 hour mark. I was only expecting to go for an hour, hour and a half, but it took me quite a while to through the sketching process. First time in this current setup. So this was a good experiment. I'm planning on doing more artwork and drawing live stream sessions in the future. I don't know how regular that'll be. Um, I've got ideas of very specific pictures to work on here and there, but we'll see how that goes. Um, so yeah, yeah, definitely. Uh, time time can fly when you're going by, but this will be it. I wonder if we can. That looks ugly. But there we go. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you all for watching and joining. Uh, glad you kind of find the character designs interesting or whatnot. If you want to know more about them, for those who like just recently joined, you can backtrack, or rewatch the stream from the beginning. You'll get more in depth as I prattle on for 2 hours straight. My voice is getting raspy, so I'm gonna have to start closing it out. But I'm definitely glad uh, that some people joined this week. This was an experiment. Yeah, no, I don't personally have a Discord channel set up or anything like that yet. I mean, I've got an account, but I don't have much of anything set up. Um, you know, uh, I will trying to think. If I'm gonna do any shameful plugs. Uh, Let me go ahead and we'll go here. Uh, if you want to find out more about these characters in this story, there, fakefrogs.com, Worlds Apart. It's going to be old artwork, but this is the comic series that these characters birthed, that they created. So it's years old artwork. The designs aren't as clean as they used to be, and I really need to update it. But if you want to know more about the characters and start reading some of the comic, there's only about a chapter and a half, because you know, I fell off a log, fell off a cliff with motivation years ago, but build up. But you can go there, check them out. I got more stuff uh, related to them on DeviantArt, actually, and uh, same basic name, Fake Frogs. That's the online moniker. So if you really want to check out more, you can go there. You'll definitely see more of them, as well as the other main comic series that I have actually maintained, which is Clyde Nolan. So those are your avenues, uh, if you're so interested. So there's the shameless plugs on those fronts that I wasn't sure whether I wanted to do tonight or not, but there we go. So thank you all for joining this evening. Until next time. As far as the regular streams, the gaming streams, uh, again, I will not be here tomorrow evening to do that. But next Friday, I am planning on continuing on, and we'll be uh, picking up with session 4 of my Psychonauts playthrough. So that's the upcoming schedule for sure, is getting back to the every Friday night uh, the gaming sessions, and I will put up notes and like ahead of time whenever I plan to do an art stream again in the future. But yep, so that's gonna be it for this evening. Again, thank you. Hit the like button if you liked what you saw. Uh, Subscribe, all that jazz. I'm plugging that for the first time in my life. Oh my gosh. So, until then, adios. Have a good time, and I will see you all next time when the next time appears. Adios.